mystic warrior. Without self-knowledge, without understanding the working and functions of his machine, man cannot be free. He cannot govern himself, and he will always remain a slave. From Meetings with Remarkable Men by George Ivanovich Gurdjieff. There is another layer we should add to our understanding of the warrior's path, the way of the mystic warrior. Mysticism and martial arts have been linked together since ancient times, and the resultant archetype, known as the mystic warrior, is a part of every culture. Much of the Taoist and Buddhist philosophy can be traced back to India and the yogic traditions. The Hindu writings speak of 4 spiritual paths, each one complex and with many variables. They are the way of the fakir, or Hatha Yoga. The fakir works to obtain mastery of the attention through struggles with controlling the physical body, involving difficult physical exercises and postures. The way of the monk, Bhakti Yoga or Karma Yoga. The monk works to obtain self-mastery through struggle with controlling the affections in the domain of the heart. The way of the yogi, or Jnana Yoga. The yogi works to obtain mastery through struggle with controlling mental habits and capabilities. The 4th way, or Raja Yoga. This is a comprehensive path encompassing all of the 3 previous paths. The 3 paths are based on the theory that humans have 3 brains, or centers. These centers and their corresponding paths are called intellectual, or the way of the yogi, emotional, the way of the monk, and moving instinctive, the way of the fakir. Each center has certain functions. The intellectual center is responsible for functions such as mathematics, engineering, philosophy, and contemplation. Emotional center is responsible for feeling, poetry, art, music, love, and devotion. Moving center is responsible for instinct, physiological functions, breathing, and movement. The theory that man has 3 centers, or brains, is ancient in origin and long associated with the study of the means towards spiritual development. Modern research into brain structure corroborates this theory. The brain can be divided into 3 parts known as the old, mid, and new brain. The old brain, or reptilian brain, the oldest of the 3, controls the body's vital functions, such as heart rate, breathing, body temperature, and balance. Our reptilian brain includes the main structures found in a reptile's brain, the brainstem, the pons, and the cerebellum. The old brain corresponds with the moving instinctive center. The midbrain, or limbic brain, emerged in the first mammals. It can record memories of behaviors that produced agreeable and disagreeable experiences, so it is responsible for what are called emotions in human beings. The main structures of the limbic brain are the hippocampus, the amygdala, and the hypothalamus. The limbic brain corresponds to the emotional center. Finally, the new brain, neocortex, is the most recent evolutionary development and first assumed importance in primates and culminated in the human brain with its 2 large cerebral hemispheres that play such a dominant role. These hemispheres have been responsible for the development of human language, abstract thought, imagination, and consciousness. The neocortex is flexible and has almost infinite learning abilities. The neocortex is what has enabled human cultures to develop and corresponds to the intellectual center. It is said that everyone will have an affinity for and function primarily in one of the three centers. Some people are more intellectual, some more emotional, and some more athletic. And those that are inclined to seek spiritual development will therefore be drawn to one of the three paths. The early 20th century Russian mystic, philosopher, and spiritual teacher G.I. Gurdjieff insisted that these paths, although they may intend to seek to produce a fully developed human being, tend to cultivate certain faculties at the expense of others. The goal of religion or spirituality was, in fact, to produce a well-balanced, responsive, and sane human being capable of dealing with all the eventualities that life may present. Gurdjieff therefore made it clear that it was necessary to cultivate a way that integrated and combined the traditional three ways. The fourth way therefore seeks to master the mind, heart, and body simultaneously. That the way of the warrior follows the fourth way can be seen in the writings of the great warriors themselves. Confucius bemoaned the loss of cultural traditions that in the past served to unite people. He felt the solution to the societal ills of his time was if common individuals, and especially rulers, were to adopt and live according to a code of conduct that stressed personal integrity above all else. The golden rule of conduct was stated simply as, "Do not do unto others what you would not want done to yourself." According to Confucius, a gentleman was required to study the 5 arts, the Wu Xing, in order to fulfill his potential as a human. Translating the Chinese 5 arts into English produces 7 arts as follows: literature, history, painting, poetry, music, culture, and martial arts. Here we see the 3 spiritual paths. Literature and history work the intellect. Painting, poetry, music, and culture work the heart. And martial arts work the physical body. It is the warrior's way to follow the paths of both the sword and the brush. Even if he has no natural ability in these paths, a warrior is expected to do his share to the best of his abilities. From the Book of 5 Rings by Miyamoto Musashi. Probably one of the greatest warriors who embodied all these characteristics is the 17th century Japanese swordsman Miyamoto Musashi. Born in 1584, the son of Shinmen Musashi, an accomplished martial artist and master of the sword, Musashi went on to become a legendary swordsman. He traveled feudal Japan, challenging and fighting duels with the most famous sword masters of his time, and winning every match. These achievements alone set him apart from the vast majority of men whose knowledge of conflict comes from movies and heated discussions. Fighting duels in which one mistake could mean death, and to do so 60 times, shows an unparalleled courage. However, his martial prowess was only a part of Musashi's warrior way, or heiho, as he called his path. He was also a brilliant calligrapher. More than mere penmanship, writing kanji is a form of art. His artistic accomplishments was not limited to calligraphy. He was also hailed as an extraordinary sume artist in the use of ink monochrome, and his paintings can still be viewed today in museums in Japan. Musashi was also an artisan and carved intricate wooden sculptures, and as a designer, he designed and carved the sword guards called tsubas. In addition to being a sword master and artist, Musashi was a philosopher. In later years, Musashi retired to a hermitage and wrote the seminal work on strategy, the Book of Five Rings. Throughout the book, Musashi implies that the way of the warrior, as well as the meaning of a true strategist, is that of somebody who has made mastery of many art forms away from that of the sword, such as tea drinking, writing, and painting. The way of the warrior thus required not only the self-discipline of one's body, but mastery of one's mind and heart as well. He died peacefully after finishing the text Dokodo, The Way of Walking Alone, 21 precepts on self-discipline to guide future generations.